Hey everyone, I'm Arumel Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a monster analysis on the Judgment Day Marathon monster. Hopefully after you see this monster analysis, you can decide whether or not you want to be going for this monster and specifically at what rank you want to get this monster. Because as we all know, races, they are quite tough, they are quite time consuming, it really requires the effort of everyone, and you can essentially get the monster from unranked all the way to getting a couple cells to rank 4. So if you get first place globally, worldwide, team-wide, you can potentially get enough to rank this monster even one step up, I think, with everything included. But that aside, let's talk about this monster, whether or not she is worth it. Let's start off by reading the Monster Legends lore. After a tough mission, actually, before that, there's actually going to be 2 analyses in this one video because there's actually information for 2 of them, because they have a really unique lore. So again, we'll talk about the lore and then we'll talk about everything else. So, 2-in-1 analysis, that's kind of the first. If anything, it might be a comparison. Anyhow, after a tough mission in which the Celestial Legions helped the minor dwarves, Warmaster Barbari gave his counterpart Elvira a very special jewel as a token of his gratitude. It was a precious locket with an amber gemstone. As they walked together to exit the mine, Barbari said, "Your troop of angels is outstanding, Elvira. You must be proud." "I am," she replied, "but there are so many corners of this universe we haven't explored, particularly outer space. It's become my obsession. There's a lot of light, but there's also a lot of darkness there. You put too much pressure on yourself. Don't worry about outer space right now," said Barbari as they reached the exit of the mine. After that, he helped her put a new locket and they bid each other farewell. Elvira went home with their new locket, but she couldn't get the conversation she had with Barbari off her mind. What happened in outer space, where there are no angels? What would a space angel look like? Would it be dark and merciless, or would it be bright and compassionate? As she went to sleep with all those questions in mind, the gemstone in her locket released a substance that floated away from her and materialized into 2 angels that were everything Elvira obsessed over. One was bright, compassionate, almost godlike. It was Ariumel. The second was called Cyberiel, that's the one going for the marathon, and it was just like Elvira feared, dark and merciless. The 2 angels are completely different, but they have one thing in common: they're mythics. And so we'll talk about this monster first. Cyberiel, the Judgment Day Marathon monster. So starting off with life stat, we have 59,716. Now of the 4 mythic monsters that are currently released, this is right around the middle. It is Armorclaw has the highest life stat with 62,000, then is Cat UFO with 60,000, then is this monster, and then her other half. In terms of power, 5,843, that is quite high. It is the second highest of the 4. And then in terms of speed stat, 4,716. This is actually the slowest. Actually, no, Armorclaw's the slowest because he's a tank. This is the second slowest. So this monster is an attacker with that high power stat. Let's take a look at the trait. This monster starts the game off with Hardened, and then at rank 1 you get Possession immunity, which I think is amazing. Cat UFO has Freeze immunity. Armorclaw has a Status Caster Stun immunity up until rank 3. So the fact that this monster at rank 1 already can't be possessed, that's awesome. And the fact that you have Hardened at rank 1, giving you a 20% likelihood to not get denied, that's awesome. So, not get denied or land any negative effect. So if you can get this monster unranked, you're good to go. If you can get this monster to rank 1, I think she would essentially be almost at her prime, because then obviously at rank 3, that's self-precision. Anytime you have increased accuracy from the beginning of the battle, that's amazing because your attack will not be missing. And in terms of relics, this monster can hold a sword and a mask, which are more of attacker-based relics. I mean, now with the mask, you can also drain enemy stamina, so you can do a lot. But typically the mask, it's a good way to give yourself extra protection. There's healing mask, there's revenge staff to drain stamina. You can do a lot with the mask. And then the sword, that's definitely geared more towards damage. In terms of books, you are Evil Legion monster, a mechanical monster, and a villain monster. I feel like a lot of these new mythic monsters, we can kind of add them to the families book and just combine them with the lore. Like I can see Elvira, this monster, and Ariumel being in the same book. Anyhow, let's go into the skills. Analysis, I feel like, have become a little more easy because now there's only 6 skills to choose from. URCLU. Applies metal weakness to one enemy, gives 1 extra chance to itself. Wow, that's powerful. Now, it does cost a hefty 50 stamina cost, but it's essentially, hey, let me make you weak to metal attacks, and then let me attack next turn. That's something I wish like Armorclaw would have had, for sure. Next up, we have Playing at the Angels. Yeah, I was about to say Angles. Playing at the Angels. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. We have an AoE bleed skill. And I guess I'm thinking, so who is it? Cat UFO, he's immune to bleed. So I guess that does help. That way, I feel like kind of right now, we're in a state where the mythics are sort of countering each other. So yeah, it's an AoE bleed skill. It costs 50 stamina as well, 35 damage, 1 turn cooldown. we have Freeway on the Grid applies meta weakness to all enemies, a setup skill that I would not recommend running because it deals no damage, so you can't really capitalize on anything. The only advantage to this would be if you know there's an enemy monster faster than you that you know is going to activate your cooldowns. At the very least, you can set up by applying meta weakness, but looking at the cooldown of the other skills, you still wouldn't have a skill to use except your special base attack. But yeah, I suppose you could set up a meta weakness in that scenario. We have Reconstructed, applies skill mirror to itself, applies damage boost to itself. Another setup skill, if the enemy monsters attack you, you'll be able to reflect, but you also give yourself a little boost, so you're going to be reflecting stronger, and if you don't get this removed, you're going to pack a punch on your next attack. Not to mention that you can use URCLU to give yourself an immediate extra turn. So that's cool. We have Fight for the Users, deals very heavy metal damage to an enemy, applies bleed, applies shock. So obviously this is going to be like essentially your OTK skill. A monster with this power, given the fact that you have a skill that can make the enemy weak to metal attacks, and then a metal-based single attack, yeah, you can essentially OTK whoever you want. And then we have the Perfect System, deals heavy metal damage to all enemies. Wow! Applies nanovirus to all enemies. This just got even better. The fact that you can do metal weakness and then you have an AoE metal-based attack. I'm primarily thinking about Megaton monsters. Again, Dunraw, Mephisto, Clipium, Centurion, if Centurion doesn't have Artifact. You're good to go, right? You face a Dunraw. Hey Dunraw, let me make you weak to metal attacks, and then let me hit you with the Perfect System and deal a metal-based 45 damage attack 3 times over with my amazing power. Wow. This monster is going to be a Megaton monster killer, which is essentially what I said with Armor Claw, except since this monster is an attacker, she's definitely more geared toward that. So, and I mean, the fact that you're going to be able to get her from the Judgment Day Marathon race, you're probably going to be getting this monster. It depends on the team, but rank 2, 3 essentially. So you're going to be good to go. The ultimate applies, YPO applies True Vision to itself, removes negative effects from itself, deals heavy metal damage to all enemies. So it's essentially a full cleanse and increased accuracy so you don't miss. And then it's just an AoE damage-based attack. If before you do this, you can do URCLU to make one enemy even weaker to metal attacks, that'll be phenomenal. But overall, we have a pretty straightforward attacker, right? I mean, in terms of the current Mythic monsters that are released, definitely the strongest attacker we've seen. Not that we've seen too much, right? We have a tank, we have Denier, we have this monster, and I actually haven't seen too much of the other one, so let's see what the other one has to offer. Really quickly, if you look at the bottom right, you can see her stats if she's fully ranked up to level 150, stamina 280, life stat 167, 797, speed stat 8144, power 13808, 13,808. But with that being said, let's talk about Ariumel. This monster might actually be the better attacker of the two, because the power stat already is 5948. This is the strongest of the Mythic monsters. However, that comes at a price of having the lowest life of all the Mythic monsters. Not that it's really such a low life when you compare it to the legendary monsters. And the speed stat 4787. That is the second highest of currently the 4 Mythic monsters. Also, one thing this monster has is you can hold the sword and the banner relic, which with the banner relic you have access to Ingvar's banner, maybe the charging banner if you need it, considering how high some of the skills are in terms of stamina. So we'll see. In terms of the traits, this is where it's not really that great until rank 3 at least, and maybe you can argue rank 1. So at rank 0 you have Daze immunity. That way if you do get dazed, your accuracy won't be reduced by 25% and your damage output won't be reduced by 25%. You're immune to daze. At rank 1 you get blind immunity. So I think this is actually pretty good because this also means you're going to be immune to total blind. But then at rank 3 you get Status Caster Evasion, which is amazing. Phenomenal even, I would say. So to have an attacker that can start the game off with Evasion, that's cool. That's really cool. Now again, if we're talking about legendary monsters, a lot of the deniers can remove positive effects before denying you. So in that case, you know, this monster doesn't even have hardened, you are susceptible to being denied. But again, the way I see it with the Mythic monsters, for at least the first few months, I imagine, they're going to be used in combination with legendaries. So if you're going to be using this monster, it's all about partnering up with a Megaton monster, maybe a Taunt monster. Like, there's ways to synergize. So it's not like these Mythic monsters are going to be replacing legendaries, at least in the first few months. I think it's all going to be about working together. So nonetheless, great trait at rank 3. In terms of books, this monster is Winged Adventure and Good Legions. And let's talk about the skills. Tier 1, we have Indulgence, deals moderate fire damage to all enemies, applies burn to all enemies. So a light monster with fire-based attacks, cool. And 30 stamina cost, that's not too bad for the fact that it's an AoE 40 damage. Right, I think Armor Claws was what, like 25 damage, 35 damage? So, and on a one-turn cooldown, that's cool. That's very cool. Eyes of a Sinner deals heavy light damage to one enemy, applies blind to one enemy. 50 damage, one-turn cooldown, 30 stamina cost blind. I wish this would have been 0 cooldown, just so we could have had a spammable skill in case you got hit with CDA. Cooldown activated, for those of you that aren't familiar. Let's keep going. Compression is weakness. Applies Evil Legion haters to... Wow, this is phenomenal. Why are these attackers so strong? Again, I thought SocialPoint was going to take it easy and kind of go to the basics, but we literally have a monster that applies middle weakness to the enemy and immediate extra turn. And now we have an Evil Legion's hater monster. So anytime you face an Evil Legion monster, this is going to be your go-to. It's just going to obliterate. And the fact that you have evasion, so if you do compassion as weakness and you give yourself Evil Hater, even when anticipation kicks in, I believe you used to have the evasion, so you're protected. What the heck, that's powerful. And again, that's why it costs 60 stamina. But again, this monster can hold the banner, so the charging banner, and you're fine. Wow. My goodness. Holy Circuit removes negative effects, applies double damage. And I don't really care about this skill. If that double damage lasts 2 turns, then it'll be okay. If it lasts 1 turn, I don't think it'd be worth running. It's nice that you can cleanse. And the only way I would run Holy Circuit is if you can maybe have a turn transfer monster next to this monster so that you can benefit from the double damage. Okay, but other than that, I really wouldn't care for it. Artificial Sun is the tier 3 skill, deals moderate light damage to all enemies, applies blind and sunburn to all enemies. I like this one a lot. It's a fantastic AoE skill. Blind reduces accuracy, sunburn reduces accuracy, and then sunburn also drains some HP. Again, look at that, stamina cost 60, so hefty stamina cost. But again, blind and sunburn, that's like soft deny, so I like that. And then we have Elvira's Trick. Ooh, deals very heavy light damage to one enemy, applies sunburn to one enemy, blocks all damage except light to itself. This is a fantastic skill. This is a great skill I would start off with. So not only are you damaging an enemy monster, you're protecting yourself from every single element except light attacks, and since you yourself are light based, you're going to be taking less damage. So it helps that you have the high life stat and everything. I mean, of course, all the mythic monsters do. So definitely I would say this is, well, I mean, this is obviously an Evil Legion's hater killer monster. And then we have this this monster can honestly attack anyone thanks to making them weak to metal attacks. They both have a powerful 60 damage attack. This one is Fight for the Users, and this one is the Elvira's Trick. I like Elvira's Trick because it also protects you. Between the two, it's tough because I like that Cyberiel has Harden and Possession immunity, but then I really like that the Ariumel has the Evasion. But they're both pretty good. Let me know in the comments below, who do you like more and why? I think it personally will depend on the situation, whoever you're facing, right? Whoever you can use to your advantage, that's going to be the monster you go with. But yeah, they're both pretty good. They're both pretty strong attackers. And then the ultimate, let's see, No Heaven for You. Deals heavy light damage to anyone, applies blind, blocks all damage except light on all your allies, not just yourself. That's nice. That's very, very nice. And again, the biggest thing I see right now, they don't have skills that remove positive effects and then deals damage or anything. So even if you're bringing a super powerful monster with a high power stats and you're facing an Elvira that's slower than you, Elvira giving her team evasion, that protects the team alone. So again, you're not going to be able to use the mythic monsters by themselves. You're going to have to use them in combination with other monsters. Monsters that can remove positive effects so that way you can attack. So it's going to be interesting to see how these monsters actually affect the game and everything. But yeah, now you've seen an analysis on these two monsters. Let me know in the comments below what you think about them. Let me know which one of these two do you like more than the other. And any other thoughts you may have about the game, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next time.